We have to be very specific, that we have to make plans with activities to make roadmaps for each sector in the city, so we will be sure that we actually will be CO2 neutral in 2025. And I've seen your plan in Perth, and you have also decided to be the most sustainable small city in Europe. Because if you really have to reach a goal to be the most sustainable city, I think it must involve your carbon footprints. It must involve what are your CO2 emissions and how can you bring it down. Now we are so profiled internationally. We have to be CO2 neutral in 2025.
Well, in E, since we've been now for about 8 years working for climate change mitigation, I think this environmental work and climate actions have become part of the identity of the local people. And it's something that's bringing people together and more getting the community feeling that this is the way we do things in E. It's very exciting to see, for example, that one of the key reasons to move to E for the new families is the environmental work. So it does have many kinds of impacts for the city.
What we did was, in some streets, residents could redesign their street. And they got the street for two months. And everything was free. They could do everything they wanted. One thing was said by us: there should be no cars anymore in the street. And what was very important was that it was temporary. It was only for 2 months. Why? Because some opponents said, we don't like the living streets, but it's only for 2 months. It's okay. And after 2 months, what we saw was that opponents said, oh, it is interesting. Maybe we should redesign the streets as they did. And the opponents came people who were in favor of our living streets.
When you have started, as we have done, people want to join because now it's a success. It's hard work, but it's also a success story. So the companies, the citizens, the politicians, everybody wants to be a part of this success story. And I think in Perth, you have taken a very good step with these conferences to get the right start. And also, I think you have already promoted yourself.
So in every school and in every nursery in E, the children actually do climate actions in their daily life. The very easy example is that they measure the consumption of water, heat and electricity in the school buildings. And they measure this all year round. And at the end of the year, in the calculations, we show how much they have saved in the water, heat and electricity. So what is the footprint of that? And what is the amount in euros that they have saved? And the children get 50% back. So we call this a 50-50 method.
Now we mostly get rid of about 20 or 30% of the parking lots. And what we do there is small street gardens. We try to get the commitment of the residents to work in those small gardens. These are their gardens. And so they are committed, they are connected to the street. And at that moment, we don't get complaints. It's also a kind of an example of connection, of commitment, and so on.
I think it's necessary to have both a top-down and a bottom-up approach. And if you have that, a responsible plan from the city council, and you also support all the activities from the citizens and the Copenhageners, and they can see they get a better life quality.
Our basic idea is that we pilot things in E, and when we succeed, we want to multiply that in the region. And if we don't succeed, then we tell everyone that don't do this, it doesn't work out, or do it in another way. So we try to be very open.
Hi, my name's Roseanna Cunningham. I'm the MSP for Perthshire South and Kinrossshire, and of course I'm also the Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Climate Change and Land Reform. The quality of the local environment of Perth is very important indeed to me. A healthy environment should be one of the city's greatest selling points, a place to live in, work in and to visit. Given Perth's geographical location, there needs to be greater connectivity of public transport and continued action, ironically, to tackle the air quality in some of the very difficult choke points in the city. So the two things do go hand in hand. Perth is a city that has been growing all the way through the 25 years that I have represented it, and it continues to look to that growth. There is still a need for more housing, but one of my big bugbears in the housing side is that there's too much focus on estates full of 4 and 5 bedroom houses, when there needs to be a much greater variety of housing types and sizes. Energy for the future, our electricity production, of course, has changed enormously since the turn of the century. Huge, very welcome expansion of renewable generation, and of course Perth is in the ground level of that, being the home of the old renewable Scottish hydro. For Scotland as a whole, we're well on the way to decarbonising our electricity system in Scotland. But obviously, we've had those wins, and we now need to think about sustainable transport and delivering a well-balanced energy system capable of providing really secure and affordable energy to meet all of Scotland's needs. In terms of making all these sorts of aspirations a reality, who needs to help? Well, absolutely everybody does. I mean, clearly Scottish Government has a role in setting the agenda. That's a role that's also one for the UK Government, local council, the business community, people of Perth themselves, individuals, and working collectively in all the various local communities. We are all of us in this together. I do believe a strong Perth city is important for a flourishing Perthshire, because if Perth can't provide the right sort of hub services and employment opportunities that people expect of a city, then the surrounding communities will start to look elsewhere. Perth is best placed, I think, to really blaze a trail for sustainability in an urban context, developing a city and an urban environment that is sustainable, safe and inclusive. But of course, there is a big issue about global climate emissions, vast majority of which are currently linked to the production, consumption and waste of products and resources. So we need to fundamentally rethink about how we use and reuse materials. And a place like Perth, I think, is probably in a really good place to think about that circular economy and look at the opportunities that there are available to it in developing future economic opportunities for the city. For the future, I would very much like to see Perth becoming a beacon to other cities around the world in relation to urban sustainability, a city aware of the environment around it, contributing positively to that environment. We need to be looking at the challenges of recovering from the pandemic and turn those challenges into opportunities to build a way out of the other side with a recovery plan that emphasises environmental concerns.
For my part, some of the key things I want to see in this plan include drastically reducing the volume and congestion of traffic in the city centre, encouraging more people to use public transport and making Perth much more bike friendly. Also improving the sources and efficiency of our energy and heating in old buildings as well as new, aiming to become a zero waste city and making greater use of local produce and goods, and finally working with local farmers and estates to protect biodiversity, plant more trees and manage land sustainably. I'm passionate about averting the man-made climate crisis before it is too late and embracing the opportunities and benefits of a sustainable future. I'm not naive. I know that this is going to be difficult, but the workshops and speeches today have surely given proof and profound inspiration that with commitment and hard work, a sustainable future is possible. I'm here to represent all young people across Perth and Kinross. Our generation is counting on you to safeguard our future, to lead the way for other small cities across the world, and to design a fair city in every sense of the word. I have to echo Beau's sentiment from this morning. Hot air and empty promises are useless. We need real change. I need you to go away from this conference and design a better, greener, fairer Perth. I'm so excited to see the plans you come up with.
If